That's a little loud. Okay, this is the YouTube. Welcome everybody. We're going to try this again tonight. I think I've got a little bit better thing going here. We got glasses, so that everything else should go pretty good. I've got my remote control. I've got all my stuff. Tonight's going to be, we are tasting the Weller line, and I'm going to be barrel bashing those. So this should be a lot of fun, and I'm hoping that everything goes as planned. And we're just going to go for it and start. If I forgot something, fuck it. Here we go. Start recording. Skip, I already did all that. Start countdown.
This is Alan Bishop, head alchemist at Spirits of French Lake Distillery. We're glad to introduce to you our newest bottled and bond bourbons, the Lee W. Sinclair 4-grain bourbon and the Matty Gladden High Rye bourbon. As always, these two bourbons are deeply rooted in the history of our location in the Black Forest of southern Indiana. Always double pot distilled, never chill filtered, made using the finest grains, alternative and historic yeast strains that we propagate ourselves, and the methodology that once made southern Indiana an epicenter of American distilling. Matured gracefully in 53-gallon No. 2 char, new American oak barrels, using a low 105 entry proof. The Lee Sinclair presents an oak-forward profile, which pushes forward the definition and conversation about bourbon possibilities, while the Matty Gladden graces us and demonstrates respect with her 35% rye mash bill. It's not just the spirits in the bottle, it's the spirits of the place. Respect the grain and drink responsibly.
Show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask why. Show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask why. But if we don't find the next whiskey bar, I'll tell you we must die. I'll tell you we must die. I'll tell you we must die.
All right, we are here for another exciting podcast of the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. I am pumped up because after the last one, I am ready to go. I think I got this down. It's going to keep getting better and better, but some exciting news. But before, and I can't wait to get to that news. It looks like we are going to be getting to be full strength going forward. I'm just getting excited about it at this point, and this will be one of the last forced tiny podcasts that goes on, because we will be bringing in the next few weeks. There's going to be hopefully a new podcaster. Hopefully Young Nose will be back. Super Nash is going to be back. Xavier's going to be back. So it's pretty exciting. And then we are now fully sponsored, and I will take care of some of this sponsorship right now. Alan Bishop is the head distiller, master distiller at the Spirit of French Lick. The Spirit of French Lick is the largest pot still distillery in the state of Indiana. Pot still distillation is a small batch process focused on the concentration and retention of flavor and aroma. It is reflective of the grain, fruit, and other locally sourced ingredients. The distillery focuses on 4 pillars of distilling bourbon: brandy, botanical spirits, and American whiskey. There you go, folks. It's like when Tiny has his glasses on and you can see. That makes all the difference. And then we're so excited. We also have brought on board Log Still Distillery. Wally, Lynn, and Charlie Dant are down in Gethsemane. I keep trying to say that, but Gethsemane. There you go. Kentucky, which is in northern Nelson County. And they have brought back their family distillery. The Log Still Distillery traces its roots back to Joseph Washington Dance, hollowing out of a popular log to distill his first batch of Kentucky bourbon in 1836. And now a new generation of distillers is continuing his footsteps with Joseph Washington's great-great-great-grandson, Wally Dant, along with cousins Lynn Dant and Charles Dant, as co-distillers. The campus is opening in phases throughout 2021 in southern Nelson County and will employ 126 people once fully operational and so Wally, Lynn, and Charles are doing a wonderful job. They opened up this May, and they just opened up their amphitheater, which is a huge amphitheater. It started out when I was down there. It started out to seat like 900, and now it seats 2,000. I've been seeing some of the pictures of the amphitheater online, and it's just freaking amazing. Let's see. Monk's Road 5th District Series Bourbon. The first release in our 5th District Series pays homage to Cold Spring Distillery, a historic distillery in southern Nelson County, Kentucky that was located just a stone's throw from the site of our new distillery today. This 6-year-old single-barrel bourbon masterfully blends notes of corn, rye, and malted barley for a product that revives the spirit of yesteryear. So, I'm excited about that because coming up August 27th through the 29th, I'm going to be going down to Kentucky. Shout out to Jason Sparkman. He has made a barrel cabinet, a bourbon barrel cabinet for me, and has done a fantastic job. If you can contact Jason Sparkman on Facebook, check him out. He is a fermenter at Wilderness Trail, and he takes bourbon barrels and turns them into cabinets for bourbon bottles to hold your bourbon. It's a little bar cabinet that he's done. From what I can see, it's been a fantastic job. Can't wait to get down there and pick it up, but I will be visiting the Log Still Distillery, and hopefully pick up this Monk's Road 5th District Series bourbon. I just can't wait to get down there and get some of the bourbon. When we were there in April, right before their opening, we got to taste it, and it was fantastic, but I just want to get it back up here and do a podcast with it. That brings us to our newest sponsor, Watershed Bourbon, Watershed Distillery in Columbus, Ohio. The Watershed Distillery in Columbus, Ohio is opened in 2010. It opened with Greg Lehman and a partner, and it then eventually became Greg himself, and now he's hired Aaron Harris as the master distiller, and the two of them, along with Ann Dimmick, are basically revamping and putting out some really, really good bourbon. The one bourbon that they've just released, and they invited me down for their media day, was the Bottled in Bond bourbon. Bottled in Bond is a rare and recognized mark of quality and transparency. Watershed Bottled in Bond bourbon is made in a single season right here at Watershed Distillery, then aged in our bonded warehouse, aged for 4 years and bottled at 100 proof. The result is a pure and flavorful bourbon. Each batch is a true snapshot of the bourbon we were producing at the time of barreling. The quality of the spirit is an authentic reflection of the grit and hard work that we have been putting in at Watershed since we started in 2010. And this bourbon is made there. They are a craft distillery, and this is all them. And it's reflective of a fantastic bourbon. I was very happy and excited to be a part of the media day and taste it, and was super happy with how good the product is. So if you see this anywhere in Ohio on shelves or at your bar. Give it a try. You're going to like it. It's got the tasting notes were aromas of red apple, toasted oak, flavors of caramel, chicory, and dark cherry. Lengthy, smooth finish with notes of spice. It's a delicious bourbon. So shout out to Aaron and Anne and Greg for doing a great job at the Watershed Distillery. Can't wait to get back down there and see you guys. Check out, I believe it was 2 podcasts ago, we were right there podcasting with those wonderful people. All right. Yay, I got through it and it seemed to be all right. We're getting a little bit more professional. I was pumped up for tonight's podcast because I really wanted to do a good job when it came to the readings of the promotions. We've never had 3 before, and now we do. And we're just going to get more and more information from those fantastic distilleries that are sponsoring the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. Now, remember, the Scotchy Bourbon Boys, www.scotchybourbonboys.com. Please check that out. You can find out everything about us on the website. Plus, you can click in the top right-hand corner, the Patreon button. Hit that Patreon to find some decent, take you to Patreon. And we have a bunch of different programs that you can sponsor us and support us. From as little as our posting chip all the way up to prints signed, bourbon prints signed by myself, the art I've done in the industry. We've got tastings with any of the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. We send you 4 samples of the bourbons that we're going to taste. We've got our Scotchy Bourbon Boy tasting mat. You hook up on Zoom and bam, there you are. We're right there with you doing a tasting. Super Nash and myself are trained bourbon stewards in the basic program, but we, in September, when we go down to Kentucky Bourbon Festival the week before, are going to be doing Stave and Thief Moonshine University Advanced Sensory Bourbon Steward Program. And we look forward to that because we just want to advance our palates and be able to become more and more educated towards bourbon. Every day you learn something, and it's such an exciting journey as we go forward. It's just amazing between the 2 years when I first started actually seriously tasting bourbon and to this point, the difference of what I can taste and how my palate keeps evolving. So we are 42 days when I'm recording this away from this year's 2021 Kentucky Bourbon Festival. Super excited. Shout out to Randy Prossi doing a wonderful job as we approach the festival. I want to put out that anybody in any of the groups that listens to the podcast, we will be there podcasting live at the festival. Please stop by, say hi to us, let us know that you've listened to the podcast. Also, any Scotchy Bourbon Boy, contact us because we are going to be down there, and we would like to have one night that we're down there, maybe after the festival, a Scotchy Bourbon Boy meeting if we get enough of the people. We're going down at the podcasting group in a power of 5 right now, hopefully maybe even 6 or 7, and just any Scotchy Bourbon Boys, we could probably have a really cool get-together meeting bonfire kind of thing after one of the days of the festival. So throwing that out there. That brings me to, I think we've gotten to the point. Let me take a sip of water here. Our exciting tonight's podcast is we will be tasting 4 expressions of Weller. I've got Weller Special Reserve. That is their basic 90 proof. I've got an the Weller 12-year, a 12-year Kentucky straight bourbon, 90 proof, aged. Then we have the Weller 107, Antique 107, 107 proof. And then we have the store pick. Now this store pick, once again, let's do the smooth glasses thing so I can read. This is the Beverage Superstore, Fine Wines and Spirits. This was their single barrel foolproof Weller. Right there, I'll give you the Beverage Superstore. This was a delicious bottle. I think I'll be drinking the last pour, which will be sad because now I'm going to be on the search for another bottle of foolproof. So, Weller. Now comes that's insane. Where did it all go? Let me call this back up. There we go. Everything is back up. I have things. Stitzel-Weller. All right. So every single bourbon that's been around for a while has a story, and bourbons have some of the bourbons get lost, like chicken cock, and they stop making it, and then Greg Schneider comes along and revives it. So it's one of the cool things that happened. W.L. Weller is a wheated bourbon originally created by the Stitzel-Weller Distilling Company. The brand is named after William Lowry Weller, a distiller who is credited by some as being the first to use wheat as the secondary grain in straight bourbon, as opposed to the more commonly used rye. Notably, William Lowry Weller hired the famous Julian Van Winkle, who would later be known as Pappy Van Winkle. Pappy Van Winkle began his career working for Weller. Weller passed in 1899, and coincidentally, his company, W.L. Weller and Sons, later merged with the A.P.H. Stitzel Distillery, which was owned by his former employee, Julian Pappy Van Winkle. The companies worked together through Prohibition, operating under a medical license, and eventually became the Stitzel-Weller Distilling Company in 1935. They went from 1935 all the way till 1972 when they sold, and the distillery was closed in 1992. Now, you can tour the distillery today because in 2014, Bullet Bourbon opened the site for public tourism and have a small on-site distillery today. We were there in earlier. Let's see. I think we were there in April when we toured the distillery, and it was it's a very cool distillery, and they're making a lot of good stuff there. But it was purchased by Diageo, who also is involved with Buffalo Trace. And Buffalo Trace took, when they closed in 1992, the stock was what all the Weller and the Pappy Van Winkle stock were. What would you say? They kept aging it. And then what happened once it was acquired by Buffalo Trace, they were able to use the barrels to keep the brands going, and started, I believe, they started, I want to say, they started producing it themselves and then aging at Buffalo Trace. So that's where we went. That's where we are today. The Weller Special Reserve. When you go to Buffalo Trace, you see a lot of barrels, and the oldest Weller is aged is 12, but you will see some barrels that are aged longer than the 12, 13, 14 with Weller marked on them. And that means that they have gone to become, they're headed on their way to 15-year Pappy Van Winkle. So there's the Weller is one of the wheated mash bills that is used by Buffalo Trace. They have 4 mash bills, but the other mash bills are rye. So the wheated mash bill, now the Weller Special Reserve is their base $22.99 bottle, and we're going to taste that one first. It's 90 proof. And we're starting off with that one. Now, you hear a lot about this and I'm going to barrel bash each one because it just makes sense to do this. Haven't done it in a while, and we're just tasting today, and we're getting to it. This podcast is about Weller, and that's what I wanted it to be about. And we at the Scotchy Bourbon Boys have this awesome Glencairn. Can you step? It is a Scotchy Boys Glencairn. The logo's on it. And we like to give a shout out to Martin Duffy, who is the Glencairn Crystal Glass Company North American representative. And if you have a group or you want something engraved on a Glencairn, you can contact Martin Duffy. He's easy to contact. You just friend him on Facebook, look it up. He will talk to you, and he has very many stories to tell. He knows a lot of people in the industry. He knows Scotch, he knows Irish whiskey, and he knows bourbon and rye. And wonderful guy. He does a weekly, I believe it's Zavi, live show with Lou Bryson. And I'm going to say Liz. I know her name is Liz. Last name's not coming to me. Check that out. It's usually on Facebook Live too. Every Tuesday, I believe at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So anyways, that's how we get our Glencairns through. Shout out to Martin Duffy. All right. And also look for it. Hopefully we will be podcasting with him at the Kentucky Bourbon Festival. All right. So I got the Weller in here. I've got my barrel, my hammer, and the barrel sitting next to me. And we are going to barrel bash this. Now, this has been open for a little bit. Out of all the Wellers, it's a lot of people on social media or whatever want to know what's special about this. It's $22.99. Here in Ohio, you can always get the Weller's Special Reserve. I could get as many bottles as I wanted. There's a limit to how many, but I could go to 4 different liquor stores, grocery stores, and each one I could get 2. Usually it's limited to 2, and I could end up with 8 a week. It's pretty much, it's more on the shelf than it's off. Most of the time we're getting these deliveries up here. If you look online, New York, I believe California, doesn't ever see this. They're paying up to $125 a bottle secondary. And I just think one of the things I would say, this is, to me, as far as I like it, it's a wheated, enjoyable. But there's a lot of bourbons out there that have a lot more going for it. It's pretty hot for a wheated bourbon, in my opinion, but I'll nose it. When you nose this particular one, I get a lot of ethanol, but then there's a caramel behind it. A little bit of wood, a little bit of oak. Yeah, for me, I take a little bit of water. For a wheated bourbon, there's so much about other weeded bourbons, even Larceny and then Old Fitz, the other weeded bourbons that are out there. And this one, for me, this one is oaky with a lot. There's a lot of tannins still in from it being a younger than the other three that we're drinking. And I'm not going to sit here and knock this for 20. This is damn good bourbon for $22.99, but it's not a $125 bourbon. That's for sure. But it's just got some of the stuff, me personally, and that's one of the things on the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. It's not about me. I'm giving a guideline to what I think is good, but I like black licorice. I'd say 75% of the people on the planet don't like black licorice. But just because you don't like black licorice or I like it doesn't mean that I'm a horrible person. So when it comes to some of the bourbons that you drink, you have to be honest on what you think, but that doesn't necessarily mean that bourbon's bad. There's some people that absolutely love this as their everyday drinker. And then there's other people who think this is meh. But at the same time, it's just today, here, now, with my palate. But, this is pretty much what I've come to know Special Reserve is. And because it's readily available here, a lot of people, if you can't get it, you want it. And it's going to be what this is, but at the same time, it'll be enjoyable because you can only have it every once in a while. Here, you can have it any time, so there's a little bit of that enjoyment eliminated here in Ohio. All right, third one. The body is average. It's not a big body. And the finish is a lot of oak and maybe a little black licorice. I get a little licorice. It doesn't, out of all the Weller that I have, William Lowry Weller 12, 107, and I get way more caramel and everything. This is just a normal average bourbon. So the barrel bashing scale that we do here on the Scotchy Bourbon Boys is as follows. You get up to 4 barrel bashes per category: nose, taste, body, finish. But if one is exceptional, you can give it a butt up with a total score of 17 out of 16 or 16 out of 16 with a butt up. So I am going to go off the nose. On this, I give it a 2. Hit that barrel. The taste, again, a 2. Body, 2. And finish is, like I said, I like a little sweeter finish. This is the tannin. Now it's a medium finish, so it's almost a 1, but I still give it a 2. So I give Weller Special Reserve Green Label an 8 out of 16. All right. Now I'm going to contrast because this is another 90 proof. We're going up in proof, not in. Now this bottle is Weller 12. And that Weller Special Reserve was $22.99. Now you won't get this, but this MSRP is $30 for Weller 12. Now I don't know what it is that came out now, but everything I was looking on online, all the reviews, they were saying $30 MSRP. So I've got a bunch of stuff on the Weller 12 year. It's 90 proof, 12 years. The mash bill is the wheated mash bill for Buffalo Trace. It's not Diageo. Buffalo Trace is Sazerac, which I'm just dumb on what I said before. So make sure you erase that. Diageo does own Bullet Company, the Bullet and the Stitzelweller Distillery, and Sazerac owns and the rights and purchased that off of Stitzelweller to age their stuff at Buffalo Trace. It's 12 years. Weller 12 has had one of the more interesting journeys for bourbon this decade. Prior to 2014, it was routinely found in plentiful numbers and on the bottom shelf at most liquor stores. It's a great case study for the perception of value. Once found under 20, many people simply overlooked it because of the price. But for those in the know, they always had it on hand. There was never reports of mass hoarding or exorbitant secondary pricing. It was a house bourbon that no one paid that much attention to. That's until you couldn't find it anymore. I remember hearing that it was starting to disappear from store shelves in mid-2013 and didn't think too much of it. I had the expectation that it would come back at some point, probably sooner than later. As 2013 came to a close, I started getting a little worried. I'd spend the better part of the day typing in liquor stores into Google Maps and driving to pretty much every single store in my city trying to locate one. At that point, it was already too late. It wasn't until 2015 that I eventually came across another bottle on the shelf. That was the last time that happened. But I also don't bother looking for it anymore. In late 2017, I was offered one from a store owner at its retail price, $30. Of course, I bought it. But knowing in the back of my head, reviews for newer batches says it isn't what it used to be. Well, let's find out. All right. There you go. Very traditional. Now, this is from Breaking Bourbon on the reviews. I'm going to use Breaking Bourbon right across the board. Very traditional aromas up front. Well, let's pour this puppy before I get into all of that. This 12-year-old. I'm going to pour myself a good pour of this. This is delicious. I do enjoy it. All right. This one was courtesy of Super Nash. Super Nash picked this up over the holidays for me. And this nose is 50,000 times better than the Weller Special Reserve. Oh, caramel, apples, like red apples, a little bit of apricot, cherry, just fantastic. One of that's just after nosing the Special Reserve and nosing this, that's not a fair assessment. Vanilla 2. All right. Let's taste it. The palate is rather nice thanks to its velvety consistency. I agree. It's dry oaky. There's a little bit, but there's caramel and buttercream notes. And then now this oaky tannin like finish. What is it? It's butter. It's such a that is really nice. It's about 30 seconds of a little bit of sweet tannins, not enough to turn me off the finish. But then there's this buttercream frosting taste. It even after you eat like the buttercream frosting off a birthday cake, there's like a little slickery oil taste in there, and it's in there. All right, let's try it again. And the body on this one is pretty big. Not huge, but big. All right. We gave the Weller, my book is on the floor, but we gave the Weller Reserve an 8, 2 across the board. The nose on this one, if there's a better nose, I'm going to give it a 4. Yeah, it's just delicious. Now the taste is a 3, which gives it, we're at 7. The body is a 3. Pretty good for a 90 proof. That's 10. And the finish, it's definitely better than the Weller Special Reserve. There's no doubt. But it is 1 point better? No. I'm going to give that a 2. Hit that baby, which brings us on the Weller 12-year on the barrel bashing. We are looking at 12 out of 16, which is not bad. Very delicious. I miss you. Ooh, it leaves that one you might try adding a little water to, because adding the water really buttercream frosting just explode, was in my mouth. So that's pretty cool. I'm gonna rinse that glass for the next one. Just let that sit there. All right, the next one we're gonna bash, we're going up one more, Weller 107. Right, there we go. This one used to have a screw cap. When I first started with, this is one of the first bottles I purchased myself for, based off of Buffalo. That's the full proof. It's one of the first bottles. All right, let's see. This is 12 year. We're looking for okay, here's the 107 over here. All right. All right, I've got it. This was one of the first bottles when I was starting to buy bourbon. Seriously, I went into the store, and this was 2019, probably July. And I went in, and I didn't realize who I was talking to. I was talking to the store manager, and he said, I was asking him about bourbon and what they had, and he said, well, we got the red stuff in of the Weller. Have you ever tried that? And I said, no. And he said, well, we don't usually get it in, but we got it in. And he's like, I said, how much is it? He's like, $26.99. So I paid $30 with tax and walked out and was floored by how good this bourbon was. And I didn't realize at all what Weller was. I didn't, the green Weller Special Reserve, he's like, we always have that. And I didn't realize that across the country, that's not the way it is. So I purchased that bottle, and it's one of the first. And I was very happy with it. It was one of the better reasons of me getting into bourbon was Antique 107. Once again, this is $49.99, $50 MSRP across the board. It is a limited every single week. More weeks than not, you can get this for $50. It's in the cabinet. People, it usually survives the morning. Limit 1, but you can go, once again, go across all the different stores and usually come across of the 5 stores you go to, you can get 5 bottles. So That is one that is sought after. I definitely think that is much better than the Special Reserve, but we're about to see what it's like up against the 12. Very similar nose to the 12, but more caramely. And there's an aspect of like a cinnamon. Oh, there's a bakery aspect to this one. Nose definitely right there. This is when it comes to Weller, when you're dealing with the higher end Wellers, in my opinion, they're the best noses out there. They're pre-pappy, but the way that bourbon's been aging, they've been making a lot of pappy or trying to make a lot of pappy, but at the same time, the Weller, it just seems to me overall the aging process of weather, barrels, wood, and everything has been so refined that you are producing some damn good quality bourbon from the bottom to the top shelves. All right. I like this a little bit more. This might get a butt up. All right, here we go. Wow. Definitely bigger proof, bigger body. Let's hit that one again. Longer. That's a really long finish. Still going. I'm going to say that if you like an oaky bourbon, this one, the oaky tannins. Now we have the 107. Once again, same mash bill: corn, wheated, malted barley, the wheated Buffalo Trace, which is undisclosed. Yep. The nose provides dimension. Finally, is punctuated with a pop of cinnamon, bark spice, and traces of black licorice. It's balanced, complex, and well developed. This is a full-bodied, oily palate. Dark fruits, raw sugar, and aged oak. And I have to completely agree with Breaking Bourbon on that. There's not a lot of heat, but a really nice hug. The mouthful feels good. I get the caramel, the cinnamon, the dark fruit, and the oak. Now, on this bottle of Weller, the oak is, I've gone through this in Scotchy Bourbon Boy meetings, but I have never done the Weller line tasting of exactly, analyzing and barrel bashing. So let's barrel batch this. The nose is a 4 with a butt up. So the nose is a 5. I enjoy the nose on this. Taste on this is a 3. Right, 8 out of 8. Now, the body on this one is definitely a 4. So we're at 12 out of 12, which brings me to the finish. Now, for a finish for me, for the bourbon, this is a long finish, but it's a slightly, let's see, a crescendo of cinnamon spice introduced the finish. Sweeter notes of caramel and vanilla, a flavor akin to tobacco hints in the background through its subtle and hard to pinpoint. An undercurrent of cinnamon remains throughout and then lingers quite pleasantly. It's a cinnamon, but it's still oaky, so it's not a 4. It's a 3. So tonight, the Weller 107 gets a 15 out of 16. Amazing, because normally I'm not 15 out of 16 it, but tonight, for whatever reason, compared and what I'm tasting on my palate, I'm enjoying the hell out of this 107. And people, let's see what it does when you add some water. Not the same thing. All right, that brings me to the full proof. So we went 8, 10, 15, and now the boy. Now the full proof, I do have, here it is, 114 proof. This was an annual release from 2020 review. In June 2019, Buffalo Trace launched Weller Full Proof. Its Full Proof moniker doesn't mean it's bottled at barrel proof, but instead that it is bottled at the same 114 proof that the original. All right, that's 2 of 17. Am I missing it? I am. So that's embarrassing. I thought I had it, but I didn't. 2, 4, and 5. All right, so I'm missing the one part somewhere, but it's just like it's not bottled at barrel. It's bottled at that original, what they consider a full proof body. So it's another 7 up from the Antique 107. So let's see what this has for us. I do still have the tasting notes. That's it for this one. That's it for that bottle. We're going to get every drop in there. This has been a delicious bottle that I've enjoyed and coveted. I've shared. I love getting good bottles and sharing it at the meetings and with good friends. So good night to this full proof. Let's see what it has for us. Let me see. Let's get some stuff on the back. Maybe that'll fill me in. I got the glasses. William Lowry Weller developed his original bourbon recipe with wheat rather than rye, bottled at the same 114 proof in which it was entered into the barrel. Okay. This non-chilled filtered wheat bourbon forgoes chill filtering to preserve all the naturally occurring residue oils and flavors that occur during the residual oils and flavors that occur during the distillation and aging process, potentially making it appear cloudy at cold temperatures. This bourbon balances a rich mouthful with robust notes of vanilla and oak, a whiskey that satisfies the demand of the non-chilled filtered whiskey enthusiast, honoring the man who made it wheated bourbon legendary. So there you go, 114 proof, the same as the entry level. I'm done reading on that. Let's see what we got here. I'm saying that nose is pretty damn same as the 107. It's at about up. Now, I definitely have, I've got the palate and the finish. The nose is cherries, vanilla, caramel, and a little bit of that cinnamon bun. All right, let's see what this does. Holy shit. All the bitter, oaky tannins are now sweet tannins. That is some damn good bourbon. This one's off the charts. This was seriously, folks. This bottle is gone. The 12 is almost gone, but the other bottles are just normal gone. Cheers to Buffalo Trace on this Weller 12-year pick. Wow. Let's try it again. Oh, yeah. Caramel, vanilla. It's mostly vanilla forward. A little bit of oak, but the vanilla overpowers it with a little bit of cinnamon, but vanilla, like a vanilla wafer on the finish. Holy shit. Not the bitter oak tannins that brought that down. I gotta figure out where to put the up in this. Nice hug. All right, let's barrel bash this and take it out. Let me see if I can get, let's get queued up here. All right, we're queued up. And I'm gonna barrel bash this, and then we're gonna go over where you can, I just hooked my microphone. There we go. All right, here we go. On the nose, because I'm going to give the nose a 4. Taste a 4. Body a 4. And this is what I want to finish. It does a vanilla wafer finish that lasts for fucking ever. But up. Boom. 5. This, folks, is the bourbon, the foolproof. It's got a 17 out of 16. Delicious bourbon. The Weller line is probably one of the most sought after besides the Pappy Van Winkle line. But the Weller line, people are just, they go crazy off of. The E.H. Taylor line, yes, but the Weller line, now there is a single barrel, which this is, the foolproof is a version of a single barrel. And there's the William Lowry Weller, which is the high end collection. I believe it's 17-year. And I've never actually gotten to taste that. I would be excited to. We've been working a little bit on trying to podcast, hopefully one day to sit down with Harlan Wheatley. I look forward to that podcast as we go forward. There's no reason. We've been to a lot of distilleries and talked to a lot of master distillers that I never thought I would. So here's to what you're producing, Harlan, at Buffalo Trace right now with your Weller line. But once again, we got 8 out of 16 on the Weller Special Reserve, 10 out of 16 on the Weller 12, 15 out of 16 on the Weller 107, and 17 out of 16 on the Weller Foolproof. Both the Weller on the nose, the 107 received a butt up, and the Weller Foolproof on the finished received a butt up. So spectacular bourbons and highly recommended by the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. Now remember, you want to follow us on all the major formats. Please, when listening to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere, iHeartRadio, and all the other Deezer, all the other formats, please subscribe to us and leave us good feedback if you like what you hear. We'd greatly appreciate that. That helps us get more and more listeners and get more searched at all these different podcasts. Same thing on YouTube. we are starting to push the YouTube. This will go on YouTube tomorrow. And we've figured out a couple things. There's going to be a lot of different Zoom podcasts, live podcasts, the whole thing. Hopefully, this is the last time I have to do this on my own unless I want to. So with that said, www.scotchybourbonboys.com. We are also on Twitter, at Scotchy and then also please find us on Facebook and join our Facebook group and like our Facebook page. A lot of good information on that Facebook group. I search the internet pretty much every day, come up with articles by Michael Veach, share what's going on with Fred Minnick, a lot of different other aspects of what's going on in all the different distilleries, plus Scotchy Bourbon Boys pitch in on what they're purchasing and buying and what the podcast, what's going on with the podcast. So with that said, it's another Scotchy Bourbon Boys podcast in the books, and let's have Mr. James Morrison take us out. Remember, good bourbon equals good friends, good times. Everybody, go out there, live dangerously, take chances. Good night.
Don't ask why. Show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask why. For if we don't find the next whiskey bar, I tell you we must die. I tell you we must die. I tell you we must die.
Good night, everybody.
Oh,